for, that he was embarrassed by, and all these things he was dealing with was not his father, because at the end of the day, he still loved his father. He loved that hour or two that he was getting throughout the week, even though he was embarrassed. He loved his father, even though he got teased about his father being incarcerated once he found out a little bit too late, because he thought he was in school getting a doctorate degree. Right. So, age 16, things were different. He was a little bit more mature. Was that 10th, 11th grade, I think he was in. This time he was able to sit with his mother, and instead of storming out, he was able to process it. He still was very confused, because it was still new to him, but he was able to process it. And so he asked, well, what's my real daddy's name? What's my biological daddy's name? And his mom said, Chris Anderson. And he said, well, and he started asking a million questions. Well, where's he at? Well, what's his, does he have any sisters? Where's he living at? And she didn't provide much information. It wasn't that she was hiding it, but her main thing was, are you all right? And let me get this information. And I've been holding this for 16 years. And so I know you're going to be mad at me, but I got to get this off my chest. Now is my time. I believe you're mature enough. Now's my time. I'll answer your questions later. And so he left that conversation angered at his mom, and he had all the respect in the world for his mom. That's the person that raised him, kept him straight, kept him right, kept him in church, even when he didn't want to go to church. But that's what he said. She kept him there regardless. But he was angry at his mom for the first time. He was angry at the old dad. He was angry at the new dad. He angered everybody. So it was a lot of anger, right? A lot of anger. And so I want to take the working people in here on the journey for a minute. Anybody that's working a full-time job, even a part-time job, and when you lose a family member, what do they give you? Bereavement, 3 days. They give you bereavement 3 days. And so that's when you lose a family member, which is what we would all agree is a traumatic experience. Let me ask you all a question. Is it a traumatic experience when the daddy that you knew for 16 years, you found out that's not your daddy anymore? Is that traumatic? So let's say this is a Monday that this little boy is taken home and talks to his mom, and he finds out that's not his dad. Let's say this is a Monday after school. Tuesday at school, he had to go to school. He didn't get bereavement. He didn't get 3 days. He had to go to school. Now, he's great at wearing these masks, like some of you all are great at wearing your mask. Even in this church, in front of the good pastor, you're good at wearing your mask. But the thing is, though, it's hard to put that mask on and hold that mask up and keep that mask tight when you get some news like that, some traumatic news. And he went to school the next day and he was angry at everybody. So when I say it's going to be a real message today, I hope we get, do we have any educators in here, teachers? Yeah, okay, 2, 3. We only got 2, 3 of everybody. Okay. Well, to the educators, a lot of teachers and a lot of people are quick to suspend and quick to, kick somebody out of school when they lash out, when they do something. Now in Richmond, at least, they're starting these behavioral interventions, whereas they want you to, to find out what's going on with them, basically, talk to them, learn about them. But that wasn't happening back in this little boy's day. They would just get rid of him. He could step on somebody's shoe, get in a fight, and they ready to kick him out. But nobody took the time to process with this boy and say, what's on your mind, what's on your heart? I don't know that he would have said he lost his dad or he found his dad, but that could have been worth a shot, but that never happened. So now he's angry at school, the place he got to be at every day for 7 to 8 hours. He's angry at home because he's still mad at mom. He's angry because he's confused. Now he wants to know, where's Chris Anderson? So Chris Anderson is a pretty common name. He said there was a basketball player at the time named Chris Anderson. Thought that might have been him, but this little boy's African-American. Chris Anderson was white, so we had to pick him out. He saw the name Chris Anderson on billboards. Every time he was driving, looking up, see the name Chris Anderson, and it just made him think, what if? What if? What if? He was wearing masks. He went all through high school, but now his grades started to drop, as you can probably see why, but nobody could see why at the time. Nobody took the time, but his grades started to drop. He didn't care about school. He started stealing more and more and more, not getting caught, so he kept stealing bigger and bigger things, doing bigger crimes. But nobody knew. Friends, mom, school, nobody knew. He barely got through high school. Low GPA. Goes away to college. Is able to get into a college, goes away to college. So that means he turns 18. Mom never really talked about it anymore after that. Here and there she talked about it, Never really talked about it like as far as having a follow-up. The follow-up is big, y'all. She never had a big follow-up. Here and there he would ask questions, and but there was never a thorough follow-up. And I don't want to assume, but I don't know if mom said, well, he's 18 now, he can handle it. I don't know what was assumed there, but I want you all to think about somebody that you mentor or somebody that you know. Have you ever thought that just you hear that situation, you pray for them, you talk to them, and then you just say, you kind of back away, think they're going to be all right? I mean, you can be honest. You just think they're going to be all right. And it's good if you don't. A lot of people do, though. And so he turned 18, and he felt kind of left alone. He felt like, I'm an adult, it's over now. And so with trauma, a lot of people that get traumatized under 18, people just think it goes away. Especially if we got mental health professionals in here. They think it goes away, but it does. It comes back, and it comes back stronger usually. So this little boy was still filled with anger, still wearing masks, but the mask got heavier. Still had weight on his shoulders. But he was in college. On paper, things looked good. Mom was taking care of him. Grandma and aunt still had him in church. And things looked fine on the outside, but he was angry. And that came out in other ways. That came out of his relationships. Y'all know anybody like that? Yeah. And it could be you. It's common. It comes out in your relationships. It comes out just in the weirdest places. But you can't control it no matter how much you want to suppress it. So there's a lot of young boys out here that are very angry because guess what, y'all? One out of every 4 African-American home has dealt with fatherlessness at some point in their life. In and out, never there, whatever it is. 1 out of every 4. You can look around and do the math. If it's not you, you know somebody for sure that's been through that. And so this little boy got through college, and he gets to his last year in college when he turns 21. And he decides to change his name. You want to know why he decided to change his name? Because this little boy was named after the father that he knew his whole life. The whole entire name on the birth certificate. And the father knew it was a lie. The mother knew it was a lie. The name was still on the birth certificate, so he was named after him. And though he was excelling in school, he had a problem with carrying that name of this man that embarrassed him. This man that was not there to help his mom when times got tough. This man that never took the time to, all them times he sat in front of this man, the man never took the time to say, hey, I'm not your father. He was also mad at the other man too, but he learned something about the biological father as time progressed, as he was able to have more conversations with his mom. He learned a key point with the new dad, with bio dad. He learned, that's biological by the way, he learned, in case you ain't following me, that biological dad did not know about him. And I say that's a key point, because that's why you're saying, ooh, because it's key. And so mom shared that biological dad did it. The story getting interesting, right? I see you nodding. Yeah. So he found out that the biological dad didn't know. And so that anger that he carried for old dad remained. The anger he carried for new dad was now gone. Now he was more curious than anything. Where is daddy? Because now I want to meet him. But this was pre-Google, pre-internet, pre-all of, yeah, it was pre. So, he couldn't find his dad. You could just go through Department of Social Services, that's it. And that was no good. So he pretty much counted a loss. Only thing he could do was try to do what he knew best, which was change his name. He changed his name at the age of 21 to carry the name of his mother's side, to carry the name of his grandfather's side, whom he grew up with, that he knew he had the same blood in his veins for. And that made sense to his 21-year-old mind. You follow me? And so he did that, and he thought everything was fixed. And there's some hidden jewels and hidden messages in the story, because how many of you all are covering some things up and you think it's okay? But what's done in the dark will come into light. What's in the dark will come into light, and it's going to continue to bother you. No matter how good you look, no matter how good your suit looking, your tie, your bow tie, women, your hair hooked up, it don't matter. Because that thing that's bothering you is going to come out. And so he's 21, and he's graduating, got a bachelor's degree, he got a new name. And here's the thing. That story that he's been hiding for so long, nobody knew what was going on with that story because it was a secret. not just between him and his mom, but nobody knew. And so when he found out at 16, he wanted to share with the world, because even though he was embarrassed by his former dad, so he wanted to kind of get some of that embarrassment off of him. But mom said, "Hold up, I don't want that story to get out, because that's going to cause a little rift in the family." So for the sake of mom, he said, "I'm gonna go and keep this secret." But when he turned 21, he said the story got to be told. And so he changed the name, because people said, "Why is your name changed?" So now he was able to say, "Well, my name changed because my dad was incarcerated, found out at 16 he's not my dad, got a new dad, I was made a dad, the new dad, but now I know that new dad did not know, so now I just want to find a new dad. And I'm changing my name because I don't know if I'm going to find a new dad, but at least I know my mom is my mom." It got kind of confusing, right? So he changed his name. Now, he goes through, he gets his bachelor's. He gets his master's. He looking good on paper, y'all. He out here having relationships. They're not working out here and there. You probably can see why he's dealing with some, what they call it, well, not some, it's this term called father wound. If you want to write something down, I know we in church, you got to write things down every now and then. So you want to write down father wound. And so you can Google father wound. That's a real term. And you'll see, because you might realize that you have a father wound. He had a father wound that just wouldn't go away. No matter when he turned 18, it didn't go away. No matter when he turned 21 and changed his name and removed the name, it still didn't go away. No matter when he got his bachelor's and his master's, and he could pretty much get any job he wanted, it still did not go away. So the beauty of the situation is this. Where's those scriptures at? Let's see. So we're thinking about, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. He wasn't counting it all joy at all. He was going through trials, but he didn't see the joy in the trials. He was mad at God. He was mad at mom, dad number one, dad number two. There was no joy there. And so some joy started to come at age 27. Grandma, his rock, who raised him, grandma fell ill. And so grandma was in the hospital, and grandma was his heart. So he was going to visit grandma every day. His mom was going to visit grandma every day. And so he had pretty much counted everything else a loss. He was doing well. He said, I'm gonna be all right. But I can't lose my grandma. And so he visited grandma every day. And one day he couldn't visit grandma, so he sent mom in his place. And mom texted him, and mom said, and it was just a barrage of messages, all caps, throwing him off a little bit. Mom said, "Oh my God, this is amazing. You never guess what happened, da da da." And he said, "What happened?" She said, "I'll tell you next week." Because next week was Christmas. And so he didn't, y'all might say, well, I would have kept asking questions, but he was like, it'll be all right. She's probably over-exaggerating. It's going to be all right. Christmas time rolls around. And Christmas time comes, she hands him an envelope, a small envelope with a small journal inside. She says, "Go read it in a private place." He takes this journal into a private place, and he reads this journal. And he starts reading the journal, and she's apologizing in the journal. She's talking about she carried this guilt. She's talking about God forgave her for this and that, but she knows that he hasn't forgave her. And he's getting angry as he reads this, because he's trying to figure out why she's doing this to him on Christmas. Why is she stirring up these feelings on Christmas? And he continues to read. And so when he continues to read, she said, "But glory be to God." And it was in all caps. And so that was a transitional sentence in a sense, because it shifted where the whole situation was going. And so she said, "You remember that day where you couldn't go to the hospital, and I went in your place, I text you all these crazy things in all caps saying it was so amazing? Well, I was walking down the hallway to go visit grandma like normal. And I was walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden I look up, and I see this man. And so I want to pause for a minute. I never really said to anybody that I had been looking for my dad. That's what the boy, he was like, I don't tell people that I'm looking for my dad, because I got it. I'm over this. I got my master's now. And so nobody really knew that he still had this hunger, this kid inside of him that really wanted his dad. And So he's a little